Cutting your sales cycle in half sounds pretty impossible, right? But that's exactly what Sandler Trading did with HubSpot. They used Breeze, HubSpot's AI tools, to tailor every customer interaction without losing their personal touch. And the results were pretty incredible. Click-through rates jumped 25%, qualified leads quadrupled, and people spent 3 times longer on their landing pages. You can go to HubSpot.com to see how Breeze can help your business grow. Good morning, everybody. Today's Wednesday, May 21st. I'm John Weigell here with Mark Dent, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Many thought that Austin, Texas would be the new U.S. hub for big tech. After many tech workers flocked from Los Angeles, San Francisco, and New York over to the Texas capital, it seemed like a foregone conclusion that it would be the new tech frontier in the United States. However, that might not be the case anymore. So why is Austin losing its tech hub status? We'll get to that in a little bit, but first, let's give you the news in business and tech. First up, watch out for Waymo. Amazon's autonomous vehicle Zoox will soon start mapping Atlanta, Georgia, before testing its self-driving vehicles in the city, announced one day after Waymo said it would begin offering rides in the same city of Atlanta. So competition for self-driving cars is underway. Next, Mattel's efforts to recreate the mega blockbuster success of Barbie now include, drumroll please, a Whac-A-Mole movie developed in partnership with TriStar Pictures. Whac-A-Mole originated as an arcade game in 1975, and Mattel acquired the trademark much later in 2008. So, Mark, some box office projections for the Whac-A-Mole movie. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, my projection is like a sickening 175 million. That's domestic. I think it'll probably end up doing well. But who knows? I mean, maybe this will be the straw that sort of breaks the camel's back of U.S. moviegoers because, yeah, Barbie is one thing, right? It's so popular.
It's a sensation.
And there is just a much more natural backstory to tell about a doll that is like, you know, kind of like a living person instead of like a whack-a-mole creature or whatever is involved in this game, which is not nearly as popular. You know, this is just like the TV show The Studio on Apple Plus coming to real life. In the first episode, there's talk of making a Kool-Aid movie, and this is basically the same thing as that.
Yeah, it's a very silly idea. I'm also infuriatingly sure that it will do pretty well. But you're right, it is not like a beloved IP. Yeah. Like, is it even an IP itself, really? I mean, rarely has there been any media existing of Whac-A-Mole other than the game, and up against like the Barbie movie, the Super Mario movie, the Minecraft movie. I can see why those did really well. They're beloved IPs, right. But I don't know. Does anybody love Whac-A-Mole?
Like we're getting to the dregs of IP because Mattel is also doing like a Matchbox movie, which I think makes more sense also than Whac-A-Mole.
Fine. But this definitely reeks of 2006's Over the Hedge, an animated movie about a bunch of animals trying to get over a hedge. That's what this feels like it's going to be like to me. From there, we go to Home Depot. So unlike Walmart, Home Depot will not be raising its retail prices because of tariffs. How about that? The company's CEO cited Home Depot's scale and, quote, great supplier partnerships as the reason the new tariffs cost will not be passed on to consumers in Home Depot stores. So that's pretty exciting. In some other retail news, Levi Strauss is offloading its Dockers brand to Authentic Brands Group for $311 million as it focuses on Levi's and Beyond Yoga, something I didn't even know they owned. Authentic, whose portfolio includes Reebok, Forever 21, and Champion, intends to scale Dockers internationally, considering how every Forever 21 I've seen in the past 3 years has been going out of business. That might be a good idea. And finally, we got Waffle House. The diner, known for epic brawls and a nice balanced breakfast, is adding electric vehicle charging to its menu. BP Pulse will install 400 kilowatt fast chargers to participating diners across the U.S. South and Southeast starting in 2026. It's not a bad spot for road trippers to charge up. Waffle Houses are open 24/7. And typically located near highways, and obviously you get waffles too. Mark, what do you make of this EV Waffle House integration? Do you think that there's a segment of EV buyers that are also Waffle House eaters, I guess is the main question?
I'd say that there probably is, but maybe more than that, this could supercharge adoption of electric vehicles more than any other sort of subsidy that's been out there. It's like, hey, everybody loves Waffle House. They are close, as you mentioned, to highways. And so road trippers who are concerned about, not being able to get a charge, it's like, well, here's a new option and it's Waffle House. Everybody trusts Waffle House. There's this thing, I believe they call it the Waffle House Index. When there are hurricanes or like bad weather coming, like you can see how many Waffle Houses are still open to like gauge like how severe it is because they're usually among the last to close.
Exactly.
So this just fits with what Waffle House kind of stands for. And maybe there's going to be more electric vehicles coming to the South.
Yeah, it's a smart place to put them. When you think about EV charging rates, they're not exactly 5 minutes right now, at least in the US. So you might as well just like park around, get some bacon and eggs and waffles and enjoy yourself while you're waiting.
Yeah, it sounds like a pleasant charging experience to me.
Okay, look, side hustles fail when they consume all of your time. Every single bit of it. The pros, though, work smarter with AI doing all the heavy lifting. To help you out, we just dropped the Side Hustle Accelerator database. You can search your exact problem for your side hustle, grab the perfect prompt, and get results. If you're struggling with marketing, content, and customer service, it's all solved in just seconds. This isn't just another tool, guys. It's your unfair advantage in a spreadsheet. So stop asking AI the wrong questions and start scaling with what actually works. You can get it for free in the link in our show notes. And you can stop right now, actually. Why don't you take a look down at those show notes and tap the link. You don't want to sleep on this. Okay, on to our main story today, taking it to another area of the South. We're talking about Austin, Texas. So Austin, Texas has been seen as quite a big tech hub in the past few years. A lot of people have migrated from other major cities to Austin, Texas for work. So Mark, can you tell me about what's going on right now in Texas and how Austin could be losing its titled tech hub?
Yeah, Austin was the kind of main destination during the pandemic for people in tech and frankly, a lot of other industries or people who just felt like moving somewhere new. And that's really starting to change. There's been a lot of stories on this over the last couple of years, and the Wall Street Journal had some exclusive data from the venture capital firm Signify, which showed that big tech employment in Austin fell about 1.6% last year and about 5% for startup employment in Austin. Meanwhile, New York and San Francisco, they saw growth in tech employment. And so it seems that Austin's luster is starting to fade a little bit.
Yeah, and that's a big difference from where we were a few years ago. But what were the main differences with companies moving, regardless of the pandemic, to Austin, Texas versus now?
I guess there's a couple of reasons, actually, why companies wanted to move to Texas. One is it's cheaper. The land there is way less expensive than in like San Francisco, New York, or a number of other coastal cities. If you're planning to build like an office space, it's also cheaper for your workers if they want to live around there and buy a house. There's no income tax, which is good. Usually Texas offers these huge incentive packages, tens of millions of dollars, if not more, for companies to relocate there. So there was just all kinds of reasons for companies to go there. However, the problem now is that Austin especially and Texas just in general have gotten quite a bit more expensive. Depending on what data you're looking at, I think I saw some that suggested that Austin from the pre-pandemic to like 2021, 2022, when real estate prices peaked, they were up 75%, wow, which is just astonishing.
Yeah.
So you saw that advantage start to go away. And so now it's just kind of like, well, then what does Austin have to offer?
Yeah, that's true. And obviously, not to mention a lot of these tech companies that did move to Austin, Texas, brought people with them, have experienced some major layoffs. Obviously, there's been a lot of big tech layoffs recently. And yeah, a lot of these companies are in that category for sure, especially a company like Tesla, which has a huge facility in Austin, Texas, spawning acres, I believe. I actually drove past it one time. It's pretty massive. But yeah, these tech companies came into Austin and we've kind of hit a snag in big tech in the past few years in terms of layoffs. So that's another reason. And it seems like people are just leaving because of the layoffs, because there's not as many opportunities as there were. And think about also the return to office mandates that we've been seeing across the board from these companies, that if people move to Austin to work remotely, it seems like they got to return to work.
Not in Austin, most likely.
Not in Austin.
So that's not ideal.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tesla, like you mentioned, it wasn't just like a little bit of layoffs. They announced last year that they were going to lay off 2,700 employees. Oracle, which was the other huge get for Austin besides Tesla, relocated to Nashville because they got a much larger incentive package from them. And because it's also better for the medical industry and stuff like that. It's sort of left Austin as like, if you can't work remotely, if some of these big companies are moving, then you got to think that it's okay, maybe these smaller tech companies, but a lot of the people who have moved to Austin to find just like a normal kind of tech job, they've just found the networking isn't as good. There's just not as much infrastructure as there is in Silicon Valley, San Francisco, or New York.
Right.
Certainly that's the case with venture capital as well. Like the ecosystem just isn't there.
Totally.
And then, yeah, the price is still lower, but it's gotten more expensive. I used to live in Austin, a few years ago. And I had a friend who had moved from New York, not even like a tech worker, but I feel like his experience was very emblematic of a lot of people who moved from New York to Austin, which is that they come there and they're like, wait a minute, where's the public transit? Why is it 100 degrees for like 90 days in a row in the summer?
Yeah.
The quality of life in many ways isn't as high as I think people imagine it will be.
Yeah, or it's just super different from what they're used to.
Yeah.
I mean, if you talk to me, like quality of life is all about tacos. And so quality of life is exceptional in Austin, Texas for me personally.
Yeah, so that's very true.
But yeah, for public transportation, for things like that, it's not exactly maybe the best place to go if you're looking for all those things, including more networking. And that's why we've been seeing, seems like a lot of people move back to San Francisco or New York or LA for those kind of big tech opportunities as well, because these big tech hubs are still very much dominant, and the networking is very dominant also in those places.
Yeah, and I think another thing about Texas, maybe a little bit less so Austin, but the big cities in Texas, they're really huge on like old school boring industries like oil and gas, energy, finance. And Austin's a little bit different. It has always had a little bit of tech because of like Dell.
Sure.
But I still think it has some of that DNA in it as well on the sort of like corporate scene. And I think at the end of the day, that clashes a little bit with what people are used to in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, I mean, you called out Dell, like the Indeed headquarters are also in Austin. So yeah, they have some things going for them, but they are quite an industry town in a lot of other ways and surrounded by very, very different models of how to run a city. So I'm hoping the best for Austin. I hope it kind of bounces back because I'm sure it grew kind of dependent on a lot of that tech money. I know they also built up a lot more high rises in the past few years to kind of bring more people in. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I personally would love to live there for a good part of the year, to be honest.
Yeah, well, for a good part of the year, maybe not this part of the year, beginning now. I don't think that there's going to be a ton of, especially longtime Austin residents who are going to be crying over this news, though.
I'm sure they'll be happy. Yeah.
There's always been a very awkward sort of relationship between, like, frankly, anyone who's lived in Austin and then the new people who move there.
Right.
It's not like a new feeling just because of the tech people, but it's certainly like exacerbated it. So lower prices, fewer people, nobody in Austin's going to complain about that.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe they'll all pack up and go to Denver or something. That's another hot spot for them.
For sure.
All right, that'll do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of HubSpot Media. Our editor is Robert Hartwig. Our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a ton more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, sign up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at The Hustle Daily. Have a great evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Hey everybody, I've been listening to this great podcast lately. You got to check it out. It's called Content is Profit. It's hosted by Luis and Fonzie Camejo, and it's brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. So in this podcast, you can discover the secrets and strategies on how your business can achieve the frictionless sale. We talk about frameworks, strategies, tactics, and bring special guests to bring you all the information you need in order to turn your content into profit. Recently, they did a whole episode on micro creators and UGC and how those things are transforming the social media industry, especially for profit. They had a guest on, William Gassner, who is the co-founder of Stack Influence. So definitely check that episode out if you want to learn more about the social media landscape as it is currently. You can listen to Content as Profit wherever you get your podcasts.